we start from?
I'm tempted to start with business.
Business day?
Yeah, let's just start with business.
Just to take you away
from politics, let's talk about some of the pressing issues, and there you have
politics it. Politics is unsettling this morning, right?
Well, we have to do what we have to do, right? But take a look at the big story on the front page of Business Day. Nigeria's boldest budget faces execution hurdles. I think this is not new to not just budgets in Nigeria, but general laws, policies, and stuff. Implementation is always a tricky one, or call it execution. And that's what the Business Day leads with this morning. What are some of the challenges? What are the hurdles and all of that? The budget is bold in the sense that it is big. It is our biggest yet, right? It is ambitious. The borrowings are huge as well. The revenue targets are huge. But how would we execute this budget? Well, that is a big question that Business Day is asking. 54.99 trillion naira. And I wonder why we just do that. Just round it up, 55 trillion naira. Let's just have a ball.
Just stop up.
So that's a big one, guys, on the front page. And it's just right next to it, foreign investors boost Nigerian Eurobonds February rally. So a lot to also talk about in the world of business, right? Which is why we have people in government to ensure that your business, my business, are protected and we do well in our affairs of life.
I think beneath that, you can also see the IMF is urging Nigeria to balance painful reforms with social investment. So clearly, that is how to go. At the end of the day, the reforms are quite painful. You can see what the cost of everything is. So the people that advise us that a lot of Nigerians have a lot of some sort of hatred or hesitancy when they hear IMF, they feel it's a bad thing. They have their good and bad as well.
Oh, well. So, the IMF does have a checkered history in Nigeria as far as policy, approaches are concerned. So, that hesitancy and that skepticism is only valid in the light of the circumstances.
Right. Let's go to this Nigeria. The headline there is sexual harassment, dead on arrival. Senate throws out Natasha's sensational, that's how the paper puts it, allegation against Senate President Akpabio. Says presentation violates rule book. So let's be clear on what the Senate is saying here. And that's why I say when I listened to some of the senators yesterday, I was squirming on my chair, like, guys, what is going on here? Perhaps it's the reason why she didn't show up at the hearing, because she said it's like everybody's against her. As I said, nobody was there. Only Senator Akpabio and Senator Natasha know what went on between both of them at different occasions. So the throwing out or dead on arrival here is the fact that it's technicality, not the substance of the case. From what I saw, was basically saying, first, you were told to sit on your chair. You're not sitting, but on the other part, there's a way to write a petition to the Senate. You can't sign your own petition. On that premise, procedurally, you are wrong, which is why this is not admissible. So this is purely a technical knockout, not the substance of the matter. The substance of the matter will, yes, the substance of the, that's why I said the one that concerns them in the House.
No, because
yes,
it was also said that they won't look at any issue that is before court. And she said, no, what is before the court is different.
Yes.
But there was a counter saying that, well, Senator Akpabio's wife went to court on that sexual harassment.
So that's what I was saying, sorry, that's what I was saying, the one that has to do with their own first rule book, first of all, procedurally. And then the external one, which has to do with the court case that has to do with Senator Akpabio's wife. So the court will decide whatever it is that is playing out.
Because they say it's in their rule book as well, that they don't consider anything that is before the court.
Yes, of course, it's in they read it out in their rule book. So.
And we've made it abundantly clear, from the start of this whole episode, that the Senate President, has ample opportunity to defend himself against the allegations leveled against him by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. But what is also emerging from the Senate is what seems to be an alignment by the male senators towards the Senate President, and we must talk about that. Perhaps Senator Akpoti needs more strategy in the presentation of her case. One should fault her for not being
tactical enough.
Abreast of the rules. You said that she went against Rule Book 41 that was quoted by the Senate that was on our sister program yesterday. So that again is another, breach of the Senate rules besides the seating arrangement episode as well. But what happened to she has a strong case. She couldn't have just gone on a tirade to a television station to present her case. Okay, let's deploy another approach. Let's give her another opportunity for fair hearing. We also heard comments yesterday like, Senate President, we sympathize with you over these allegations. Nobody's sympathizing with Senator Natasha. So these are the issues. Another case was brought up again yesterday against the senator, which had nothing to do with the sexual harassment case. These issues must be put out there. And don't forget also that another senator, a female senator this time around, in responding to these issues, had said that the Senate is not gender friendly, but it's improving. So these issues, are there in the open, and they must be addressed.
Not that it changes much, but the words which were used was, I empathize with you being a man. Those were the words used by Senate leader, what's his name?
Opeyemi Bamidele.
Yeah, Opeyemi Bamidele. He said, I empathize with you being a man facing these allegations. But again, doesn't change the substance of the matter. This must be investigated.
All right, so last blueprint says FEC votes 10.3 billion naira for HIV/AIDS diagnostics kits, diabetes medication. So that's much, Bukola, I guess we can take.
Yes, indeed. And from there, we go straight to trends this morning. And I'm spoiled for choice, but
I think we should just start with the Senator Natasha Akpoti's supporters who trooped to the Senate asking Senator Akpabio to step down. I think that's a fair place to begin from because there was a lot of drama
there were pro-Natasha and pro-Akpabio protesters yesterday.
There we go again.
And, this is another...
There's economy of protest.
There is a big
I was going to talk about the ecosystem of protest. Recall right after this, during the seating arrangement conflict, there were South women protesters in favor of the Senate President somewhere in Goa Bayelsa State, protesting in favor of the Senate President. They weren't even asking that the allegations be investigated. They were just against, what they called the alleged disrespect for the Senate President. And, it goes to show the nature of our politicking in Nigeria. They do not even know that perhaps this issue would have something to do with their own daughters in the future, if indeed the sexual harassment case has substance. And some people were asking, can they even read what is written on the placard that they carry? Oh, yes, indeed. That's the iconic moment from yesterday. And, what's wrong, Kadi, by the way, if your spouse escorts you to work and shows you affection? Another comment that came in
dream,
yesterday. Yes, another comment that came in yesterday was patriarchal, talking about this being a scene from the movies. It's annoying, and our male senators must rethink their disposition towards their female colleagues.
Okay, so let's go to what you have the first one. What's the first user saying?
This is from Chigozie.
It's rather quiet in here, Kadi and Jeffrey, but I understand. Let's continue.
I don't understand.
We don't understand what you
We don't understand what you mean. Okay,
let's take the first comment, Chigozie. That's Gozie_Neme, saying the situation surrounding Akpabio and Natasha highlights the critical need for accountability in political office. The evidence suggests that addressing these allegations with seriousness and transparency is vital for maintaining public trust.
I think it's common sense. Well, that's the name of the person, by the way. This is more like fights for women's rights and equality. So, as we've always said, this has to do with sexual harassment. It's a serious matter. And at the end of the day, the court will make its decision. I guess what Bukola was trying to say is the fact that some of the comments by the men, I sympathize, and they don't say, I will bring a petition, now literally impugning or allegedly impugning on the character of the lady. And the person he referenced has now said, please, I don't even know what you're talking about. At no time did it happen. And then using terms like, is it viral moments? Senator Daramodu yesterday on Politics Today. I've forgotten. There's a statement he made. I was like, oh my, what is going on here? There's a very, when I remember the word, I'll reference it. Bukola, you have the next one.
And the next one is from Oladile, who says, Senator Natasha shouldn't have kicked off a battle she couldn't win. This ought to serve as a major wake-up call for others thinking of taking the same path.
Let's take a look at what John Terry has to say about it. I think this is one of the hottest topics in the country today.
It is, actually.
No court has the power to stop the legislature from carrying out their constitutional responsibilities. That has since been settled at the Supreme Court. So is this user saying that what the Senate can still consider it, even though it's in the court, or whatever happens in the court will not affect what happens in the Senate? I'm not quite sure, but we'll just put it out there. That's a comment. I don't know if you guys want to help interpret that, not post, because I'm trying to understand it.
I wouldn't know what the person means, but I'll go back to where I started. There are three issues, but the biggest of the three is actually about sexual harassment and the handling by the people involved at the end of the day, which is dangerous to take sides on this matter. As I will always maintain, it is both of them. She's made strong allegations and she said, I have evidence. So let the evidence be interrogated and find out who is lying and who is saying the truth. Let's go to NAFDAC arresting fake alcoholic beverage producer in Rivers. Wow. Let Rivers rest.
Let's just add
what
again
is going
that
on in Rivers?
the normal courtesy that should be shown the Senate President should be shown the Senate President, regardless of what the issues are at hand. Another observation yesterday was the Senate President refusing, the Senator put it on refusing to stand up, showing courtesy for the arrival of the Senate President. But we're on to another issue, and you just saw that video there of another big catch by NAFDAC. And we're already having reactions to that. The first is from Hamzat Kayode, who says, Dear NAFDAC, there are several accomplices to this nefarious acts, ranging from those who are making the labels to those who are making the bottles available. If they can be tracked, they'll reveal other customers they sell the labels to. Those patronizing them be arrested as well.
All right, Kola Bazing says, our life is not safe. I guess that's what we wanted to say anymore in this country. There are a lot of fake products out there, from food, drugs, alcohol, drinks, and so on. Our lives are at risk in this country.
How do you have the next?
Yeah, I imagine this user is a pharmacist, because the username is Farm Heyday, saying it is not enough that alcohol has close to zero benefits to the human body, linked to several cancers, obesity, kidney damage, liver damage, and all. Just look at how, wow, this user looks like a pharmacist. Basically, how dirty, just to translate it, use simple terms, the production conditions are. You will drink alcohol and be introducing tons of bacteria into your body. So,
this business of fake drugs and fake alcohol, fake things, is very deadly. But we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get to that very conversation. We'll start with some of the things that happen on the floor of the Senate. The rule book, what does it say? Who is aligning with what? We'll break it down right here on the program. Join us again.